Hey, what's up, guys? It's Chris Lee. I'm back with another video. Unfortunately, this video isn't going to be anything pertaining to my business. Um, this is going to be more so about the coronavirus. I really don't want to spend a whole lot of time with this video. Don't want to keep coughing throughout the entire video. Um, so hopefully you understand that. All right, right off the back, this whole coronavirus stuff, it sucks. Um, you will go through a lot of symptoms. A lot of them will feel like they're life threatening. For a lot of people, it has been. For me, I've never been somebody who's really struggled to breathe. So I kind of knew that something was different this time with me being sick, because I've been pretty sick in my life, but something just seemed off this time. And when I mean off, things were off with my breathing. Like I felt like I was suffocating. I mean, I'm still sick right now. I'm quarantined in my home, um, in my room, away from my family, so I can't put them at risk. But the crappy part about it is the symptoms started off kind of like me just being a little bit sick with a little cough, not even anything major, because my son was sick and he was basically quarantined in his room. And when I say quarantine, he basically quarantined himself, and that's not like him. Usually when the boys are sick, they still try to come out the room, be active with everybody, and just kind of do whatever they need to do. Um, Something was different with him. He wanted to stay in a room, and he was pretty much on bed rest, and I couldn't figure out why he was that sick. Like, because my kids always get sick, but they're kids. They go to school, whatever the case may be. But I did not know how severe it was for him until I seen that he was on bed rest. So I went out a couple times to go try to get some medicine, some necessities for the house or whatever. And next thing I know, a couple days later, I started having some symptoms. I started getting sick, and I'm like, I got a little cough. Maybe it's maybe it's because I have acid reflux or something like that, or dealing with this bronchitis type cough. Well, the thing that was different for me was I thought I was getting better, but I gradually started getting more and more fatigue. Started having more headaches, and the cough started to worsen. And then out of nowhere, I wanted to get out of the house, so I kind of took my family to the park so we can go get some fresh air. And I thought maybe if I just get out and get some sun, that I'll feel a little bit better. Well, that was not the case. I did get out. I went to the park for like 2 hours, and when I came back home the following day, symptoms started to get a lot worse. Started coughing like pretty bad, like really bad. Started coughing bad, and then in the process, gradually within the next couple days, my body started to ache a lot. My lungs felt like weights. My lungs felt like so heavy. I started coughing up a lot of mucus. My throat started to itch. I had the cough. I had the headache. I'm like, man, something is going on. Like, I gotta be, maybe it's allergies. Maybe because of the seasons changing, and the weather's changing. Maybe I'm just getting that type of allergy sickness or whatever like that. Well, as time progressed, that following week, I started to get even worse. And at that point, I started having breathing troubles. I felt like I had allergy reaction to like some type of, you know, peanut allergy or some type of food or something like that. It literally felt like my throat was closing up, like I just couldn't breathe. And when I tried to inhale, the problems that I was having was I was trying to inhale, but I was basically inhaling like this. And I felt like I was taking big inhales, but I actually couldn't. My lungs and stuff felt like they already had air in them, or oxygen in them. They felt so heavy and full, as if I was already, inhaling, and I couldn't anymore. That became a problem to me, because I got to the point to where it was so bad that I literally would like hit something, because I would literally hit something and like squeeze on my neck to try to get some type of oxygen or get some airways in, because I sleep with a CPAP machine. So when I sleep with a CPAP machine, I would try to use that thing or have to put it on while not sleeping to try to open up my airways just so I can breathe. So I kept saying, I'm feeling like I'm suffocating, like I can't breathe, I can't breathe. So I tried to go through the process of seeing everything that I ate, limiting myself on everything, just because I got to the point to where I was afraid to eat, simply because I didn't want that feeling to happen again. I was like, man, I don't really want it to feel like I can't breathe. I don't know what I'm eating that's causing this. I'm gonna just limit myself. Then I got to the point to where I tried to go to sleep, and that's when things started getting crazy for me. I felt like I was suffocating at night. I just couldn't breathe. I kept trying to breathe in. I kept trying to inhale. My CPAP, I couldn't even keep it on because I felt like, with me being congested, the one that I have, it basically goes around, because I used to have the one that covers my entire mouth, but I have this one now that goes under the nostrils. And in the process, I was so congested and clogged up, I couldn't even breathe in, simply because I was full of mucus. And so I went through the process of basically constantly blowing my nose every day, throwing up because of the mucus was in, the mucus was trying to come up, and it got to the point to where I needed to go to the hospital. Like, I woke up one morning and I was really gasping for air. I couldn't breathe whatsoever. I tried hot water, steam baths, steam showers. I tried the orange pills, boiling orange pills and basically inhaling it. I tried all kind of different medication to try to be able to breathe and open up my airways. I would even get to the point where I was grabbing an inhaler, and I was so tempted to give myself more pumps of the inhaler, but I know that you're not supposed to do that because I couldn't breathe. So it got so bad that I had to call the VA hospital. And when I called the VA hospital, they said that you need to call 911 immediately. So I went through the process of being rushed to the hospital. And when I get to the hospital, something was different there as well. I went through a whole quarantine process of, well, you need to put this on. The doctors felt like they needed to dress up in all their gear to be able to try and treat me. Nobody was in a waiting room. So I'm thinking to myself, like, why is this taking so long? What's the holdup? Like, why am I not being seen immediately if I'm having trouble breathing? Well, in the process, after I did all that, I went into the back. I just told him, I said, hey, I'm struggling to breathe right now. I need some oxygen. I was told that I cannot get any oxygen because if I did, that it will basically, if I had the coronavirus, that it will put particles in the air, basically putting everybody at risk. That made me feel like, shit, because I felt like, you know what, I'm sitting here struggling to breathe. I come in here clogged up, basically grabbing my throat, telling you that I can't breathe. I feel sick, fatigue, headaches, the whole 9 yards. The least you can do is give me something. Well, when I first went to the hospital, I didn't get anything. I didn't get any IV. I didn't get any type of oxygen. I didn't get anything to help me breathe. So I'm basically sitting there suffering while I'm waiting for the doctor. Now, what they did at the time was a quick x-ray. And I'm not talking about the long process. I'm talking about the one where you sit against the bed, they come put the thing behind your back, do a quick x-ray, and they did an EKG. After they did both of those, the doctor came back and he was like, I don't think you have COVID-19 or something like that. I'm like, I don't know anything much about that, period. I didn't come in here for a whole COVID-19 process. I came in here because I can't breathe. Like, I need something to help me breathe. Otherwise, I just would have stayed home. So the doctor basically sent me home with absolutely nothing. I mean, it's like he completely ignored the signs, didn't pay attention to what was going on with me. And I even asked this nurse that came in before they was about to discharge me. I'm like, ma'am, he keeps saying that there's nothing wrong with me, but I'm telling you, I can't breathe. My lungs feel heavy. My airways feel clogged. I feel like I can't get through this moment. I'm not sure what's going on, what's happening And she was like, yeah, well, the doctor said that, he didn't find anything. And I said, he's not even going to prescribe me anything. So the doctor didn't. He didn't give me any prescription medication. He was like, if you want to go pick up something, you can go pick up some Sudafed or something from Walgreens. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm a veteran. Like, the least you could do is try to give me some type of medication to help me with my symptoms and then send me home. So he didn't bother giving me anything. I ended up going home and I just knew that something wasn't right because I tried to come home. Things got worse. From going to the hospital, things got worse. I had more trouble breathing. I kept calling my mom, everybody, just saying, hey, something is not right about me. Something is not. I've been sick my entire life, but I've never, multiple times in my life, but I've never been this sick. And I was posting things on Facebook, and everybody was just responding saying, you should try all these different remedies. You should do this. You should do that. And I mean, I took everybody's advice, from Vicks Rub to nebulizers to inhalers to the steam treatments to the orange pills to ginger teas, the whole 9 yards. I just tried so many remedies and nothing happened for me. So in the process of that, I kind of got pissed off because I was on Facebook and people were like, you need to take care of yourself and go to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. Stop being so prideful. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I just came from the hospital and a doctor told me that there was nothing wrong, that he doesn't think that I have any COVID-19 or any type of viruses or anything. It's like he ignored the fact that I was sick. So I said, you know what? I'm kind of pissed off. I don't want to take anybody's advice. I'm going to just try to stay home and combat this thing. So I ended up staying home for another 3 days till I was to the point to where I was forced to be rushed to the hospital again. I said, you know what? I can't breathe. I have to go to the hospital immediately. This time, once I went to the hospital, I went to a different hospital. And when I went to the hospital this time, it was a night and day difference. They had immediately treated me. They knew just by the symptoms and everything that I told them. They asked me how long have I been sick. And up until that point, it was already 2 weeks that I was sick. And I'm sorry if I get winded because it is really hard to breathe. So if you hear me coughing, if I need to take a break or something, then you know why. But in the process, they were like, how long have you been sick? And I told them about my symptoms, and they were like, yeah, well, that doesn't sound like a normal cold, but we're going to go ahead and get you checked out and see what's going on. Well, long story short, I went through the whole process. When I did an x-ray, just different things. They did the swab, the whole 9 yards to check me out. And then next thing I know, once the doctor wanted to look through my records because I have a history of a stroke. And with me having a history of a stroke, that night before I went to the hospital, I was having numbness and tingling all over my body, like on the left side of my body, the left side of my face. Basically, it felt like I was holding my breath for a long time, and it felt like I was about to pass out from holding my breath for so long. So the doctor was like, well, I want to look into the notes and get that checked out first because I need to make sure that you're not showing signs of a stroke because I had one in the past. So I let him do his thing or whatever, and after they ran their tests, like I said, they were doing things that I knew nothing about. I didn't know anything about no blood cultures. I didn't know, I wasn't thrilled about getting, a Q-tip down my nose or anything like that, but it was just something that was mandatory that needed to be done. And in the process of me doing that in the x-ray, the doctor finally came in and he was like, yes, you definitely have a serious viral upper respiratory infection. And the whole time that I was sick, I kind of figured that because every time I would cough up my mucus, it was like dark yellow. I was constantly hurting. It was like a really bad case of pneumonia in the process. So when the doctor came in and he let me know that, I was like, how do you think, what do you think that this could be from? And he said that I believe that you probably had the coronavirus for a couple weeks now, and that you may be at the tail end of it now. And when he said that kind of made me feel like, Well, damn, like, because, like, how can this be? How can you show you? I went through the X-ray process and all that with you, and you find that I have a viral upper respiratory infection with inflammation and all these different things, and then I just went to the hospital 3 days ago, and they did X-ray, except the one that I was sitting against the chair, the hospital bed, and they said that they didn't find anything. But I knew something was just a little bit different because when I went to this hospital, they took me up to a room. I had to stand up. I had to put my chest against the X-ray thing, and then I had to turn to the side, put my arms up. And hell, it just seemed like the process was night and day. So it would make sense that they were able to find something at this hospital, and I just felt like the other hospital didn't care. I feel like they didn't go through the proper procedure of properly checking me out and seeing what was going on with me. They just kind of, made their own, I guess you can say, determination or educated guess or whatever you want to call it, and said, okay, well, you're fine. I don't think you have COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever. Just go home. That made me feel like I was worthless because one of the nurses there told me that they have a limited amount of swabs and that they would rather use it on somebody who shows more prominent signs of having the coronavirus. So that made me feel like, does my life not matter? Do you just, do you just treat me like, I'm just a person. I don't matter because I'm not showing signs. Do I have to be dying in this moment in order for you to go ahead and test me? So I was pretty disappointed that that other hospital did that. But after I talked to the doctor at the new hospital that I went to, he was like, yeah, he was like, I believe that you have the coronavirus for a couple weeks now because you've been sick for so long and you've already been to multiple hospitals and you've had all these symptoms up to this time, even though you're still doing pretty bad. I believe that you're probably at the tail end of this thing. So in the process of doing that, it just made me feel, number one, I felt relief straight off the back because I felt like, dang, I finally get the opportunity to know what's going on with me, to know that, okay, there is something that's going on in there. All the signs that, and I personally thought that I didn't have any coronavirus stuff because I didn't have any fevers, but I had crazy headaches, like continuous headaches, lightheadedness, dizziness. My coughing was terrible. I mean, beyond terrible. It's still it's still bad, but like how it sounds now, it was more of a like a heavy bronchitis, dry cough. It was, I mean, it was pretty bad. So dealing with that, I just felt like, maybe, well, people are saying that since I don't have a fever, then maybe I don't have the coronavirus. So I decided, in a process to kind of stay home, do my own thing until things got really bad. And then once things got bad, at home, my family started to notice that I had like that smell of sickness, somebody being extremely sick, and I couldn't smell it because it's me and I'm in in a space and or my own environment, and I couldn't really smell myself. I felt like everything smelled normal. Once things started getting crazy for me is when I lost my sense of smell and my sense of taste. For me, it was more so not that I completely lost my sense of taste. This is going to sound extremely weird, but the taste for me, I kept, after I would eat, I kept saying that it tastes like I'm sucking on a wet towel. I know that sounds extremely gross. It sounds disgusting, but that's exactly what it's been feeling like. What I've been, the kind of taste that I've been having in my mouth. It's just been more so of like a wet towel taste in my mouth, like a dirty wet towel. And I know you're probably thinking like, what the hell? How do you know what the taste of a wet towel tastes like? If you just understand what I'm telling you, as weird as it sound, it was just something about the taste in my mouth just wasn't right. No matter what I tried to eat, no matter what I tried to taste, I'm like, man, something is just not right. Something does not taste right for me. The smell, I would smell things differently, and I'm like, why does it smell? Why does it smell like this? Why does it smell like that? things were just completely off for me, and that's not normal symptoms for me in general overall. So I just felt like I knew something was kind of messed up with me, and now that I'm at the point to where I went to the hospital and a doctor confirmed things for me, and I had to stay. I ended up getting released in a hospital the next day, and the doctor had basically told me that there's really nothing that they can do about it in the process. Because I felt like I shouldn't have been sent home. I'm like, I got a family at home. I don't want to risk them. I don't want to get people sick. I don't want to get nobody sick. Like, I just want to know that if I'm going to leave this hospital, that I'm going to be okay and that I'm going to have the care that I need. And they were like, you know what? I can tell you right now, you're pretty sick. You're pretty sick. But we have had people come in here who have been way more sick, severely ill than you, and we still have been forced to send them home. And that kind of broke my heart a little bit, because I was told about an 84-year-old man who had all kind of heart problems and all kind of heart conditions, in the past, and he was severely ill, and they was forced to send him home. And I'm like, but you're putting him at risk of dying, without even helping him, so just to know that, an 84-year-old person, like, how is he supposed to care for himself? How is he supposed to take care of himself? Or, is somebody waiting for him to die at home? Why not keep him in the hospital? Like, I cared about myself enough to say, yo, I need to, I need to stay here enough to get me some treatment so I can get better. But if it had to be between me and an 84-year-old man, I would rather give up my spot, just to make sure that he can get the help that he needs, because I would have some help at home. And, you want to be responsible when you got a family, because, especially with kids, you're responsible for them. You want to be able to make sure that, kids need their dads in general. But that was just something that I thought about. So when I ended up, the doctor told me, he was like, look, you're pretty sick, but I think that since you've been able to combat it up until this point for 2 weeks now, that if you just go home and do what you have been doing, then I believe that you can make it through it. And in the process, I was like, okay, well, that type of positivity was enough for me to say, you know what, if he believes that I can make it through this thing, just go home and quarantine myself, that I can get through it, then I'm going to go ahead and do that. So he prescribed me, like, no joke, he prescribed me like 8 different medications. And he was like, I'm going to give you medications to combat the symptoms, because there's no cure. So I'm going to give you something for headaches. I'm going to give you something for coughs. I'm going to give you something for the asthma. I'm going to give you something for, just everything in general. Every different symptom that I had, he gave me some medication for, because he was more so worried about, like I said, the signs of the stroke, the numbness, and the second thing that he was worried about, he was like, what, why do you have like you have the bronchospasms going on? Like, why do you have like that bronchitis cough that you have? It sounds really, really bad. That's what he was concerned about. So he was like, it may be likely that you have really bad asthma. Now, for me, I didn't get asthma until I joined the Army. Once I got out the Army, I thought my asthma would get better, but it didn't. I never had asthma before the Army. Honestly, I didn't have any health conditions before I joined the Army in general. So to get out and start having all these issues with my health and my body was just like, it was puzzling to me in a process. So he was like, you know what, I'm going to give you more stuff for a nebulizer, a stronger, fresher inhaler, just different medications to try to help with the cough, try to help with any type of asthma symptoms or whatever the case may be, which I really appreciated, because they've been helping a lot up until this point as well. So here I am, I'm at home and I'm quarantined, away from my family, and it sucks because I'm in this room and there's not much to do here. I have my laptop in here. Yesterday, I felt good enough to create some music inside of Logic Pro, and then also I felt good enough to do some stuff in Illustrator. Now, the symptoms that I've been dealing with for the past couple of days have been periodic headaches, I'm still dealing with a little vomiting, and I don't know if that's due to the medication or if that's due to me just trying to get the mucus out of my system. Some of the other severe symptoms that I've been dealing with was like just severe lightheadedness, dizziness, and nausea. Like it has been out of this world. And I don't know if it's due to the whole virus or if it's due to the albuterol, because I've had severe panic attacks and anxiety in the middle of the night, and that is beyond scary because I already deal with anxiety for one, and to be able to take this medication, sometimes it makes me shake, and I start having heart palpitations. I start having like I said, severe panic attacks in the middle of the night. So to be here and deal with that lightheadedness and dizziness, it's to the point to where I just don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm just gonna get so lightheaded that I'm either gonna die in that moment or whatever the case may be. And I try to lay down. I try to, close the curtains and be in the dark. I try to get some rest, whatever the case may be. Try to take hot showers to try to I'm basically forced to either, read the Bible, work on something if I can, sleep, rest, because rest is important. I try to drink a lot of water. You will be really dehydrated in this process. If anybody knows what this feels like, and I would definitely say I had more of a severe case. Um, this definitely isn't something that I would really call mild because I've watched other people videos and the symptoms that they said that they've had. And for the people who said that they've had mild symptoms, they legitimately mean that, like a fever here and there or a little cough. But I've had a combination. I basically had every symptom except fevers, if that makes sense. I've had terrible cough. I mean, to the point to where my entire insides hurt. My entire body was hurting. Lungs felt heavy like weights. A bunch of mucus. Just dizzy, lightheaded. Constantly feeling like uncomfortable in my body, not being able to sleep, not being able to lay down without moving around so much. It was just, I mean, it was a really extreme case for me. Some vomiting. It was just one of those things that I really felt like, yo, this is more than a flu. This is more than a pneumonia. And even my whole concept about the whole coronavirus thing in general, I look at it as it's a virus. It's it's just as deadly as any virus. I don't look at any virus or sickness or illness or disease, any of that. I don't look at any virus as a light thing. I feel like depending on who you are, you can get sick, and either you're gonna beat it or you're not gonna beat it. Either it's gonna kill you or it's not gonna kill you. Either you're gonna get severely ill or you're not gonna get that ill. That's how I look at it. So for this thing to be known in the world and to be killing people and to be making people sick and to definitely be putting people in ICUs and on ventilators and bed rest and quarantine, the whole 9 yards, you got to take it as something as it being serious. I don't care about the name coronavirus or COVID-19s or any of these fancy names that they want to give it. I feel like it's a virus, period, point blank. It's just like any other virus, flus, pneumonia, swines, whatever you want to call these different things. If it's capable of getting you sick, if it's capable of weakening your immune system, then it puts you at risk at possibly killing you. And if you already do have underlying health issues, then you put yourself at more risk. And not that you put yourself at more risk, but you're more, I guess you can say, I believe the word is susceptible to, or you are more likely to get this virus in general, or you are more likely to get sick and die or severely ill just because your immune system is already struggling to be strong and to be able to combat this type of stuff. So for me, for somebody who's had terrible bronchitis and pneumonia and GERD issues, and I mean the list goes on of different complications that I've had already been combating these past couple years, it didn't make it any more better for me. And I just kind of felt like, dang, well, my son was really sick And I didn't even bother getting him tested because he had was sick really really bad. I didn't know at the time, and then he ended up getting better. And right now the only thing that he's dealing with is just like not even so much like mucus. He says that he can breathe better. He's active. He's not, he's not on bed rest anymore. He's been good for like a good week now. It seemed like when he stopped being completely sick is when it really hit me. So I really hope that nobody else in my family gets sick in a process, because that'd be horrible. But I do have great support at home. Um, it's, I mean, there's not much that I can do in general. I really don't want to put them at risk, but I have to go to the bathroom. I have to take showers. I have to brush my teeth. I have to do certain things like that. But as far as getting food and things that I need, my family, I have the luxury of being able to call my wife or kids whenever I need something, and my wife will bring it to the door or whatever. She bring it to me, and I'll get it like that. But other than that, I try to have very little contact with them. I do miss them, and I know that they miss me, um, because I feel like I'm in jail. I feel like I'm in a a cage right now, and they're so close, but you just really don't want to put your kids at risk. And for me to be a 31-year-old man and really trying to combat this thing and deal with it, it has not been easy. Um, I'm still dealing with a lot of the symptoms right now. One thing I am happy about is that I'm not able to completely breathe a whole lot, but I'm breathing a lot better now than what I was 3 days ago. I'm breathing a lot better, and I'm coughing, but I'm not coughing as much and as hard and as bad as I was. And then I hadn't really experienced a whole lot of headaches for the past couple of days. Just some lightheadedness, periodic headaches every maybe once a day, or every 2 days or something like that. Now I wouldn't even say that. I would say just like once or twice for short periods of times, at least once a day or something like that. But before, at least a week ago or a couple days ago, I mean, my headaches were persistent. They were continuous. I felt like nothing would help. I took Tylenol, I took different medications to try to stop headaches and stuff. It didn't help. The only thing that helped me sleep at night was taking magnesium, chelated magnesium pills. That stuff kind of helped with a lot of the symptoms, and I was able to get some rest. Um, I was really more so concerned about my CPAP machine because it covers my nostrils, and if I can't get oxygen through my nostrils from being clogged up, then you can understand why my sleep was being interrupted a lot. So that's something that I'm thankful for. I'm drinking a lot of water now. I'm drinking a lot of Gatorade. Water and Gatorade. Make sure that you keep this stuff, especially if you've been vomiting. I've only been doing light vomiting, but the light vomiting, I think it's only because the mucus is trying to get out of my system. But other than that, you have to pay attention to the signs with your body. I knew something was wrong with me because I naturally work out anyways, so I was pretty much getting up and feeling like like just winded, like just from getting up I was feeling winded. Or if I take some steps, or if I go walk some steps or whatever, I will feel completely winded. If I tried to go walk from my complex, or if I tried to go walk to the car or something like that, and I come back, walk into the car and I come back, I'm just like just completely winded and tired, and that's just not like me. So now at this point, I'm quarantined. I'm spending a lot of time, like I said, just trying to make some music when I can, resting, watching a movie on my laptop if I can, designing stuff in Illustrator if I can, just in prayer when I can, doing some research when I can, a little Facebook in here and there, or whatever the case may be, and especially trying to help and support other people if they are going through this particular situation. If I had to say anything that I feel is where I'm at as far as my recovery, I feel like I am recovering because I am doing a lot better than I was. I legitimately thought I was gonna die. I had the fear of that, and that's gonna cause a lot of stress. It's gonna cause a lot of anxiety in you, and it's just gonna make you feel like, man, like I'm, like what's gonna happen to me? And still, I still have anxiety now because I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if this thing is gonna continuously get better or if it's gonna come back worse and hit me harder. That's something that I think about in the back of my head. I don't want to have any sudden deaths or anything like that, but I am staying in prayer, and I encourage anybody who's going through the same thing to try your best to hang in there. As far as what you eat, I would definitely say try to eat healthy stuff, period, point blank. For a whole week, I knew something was wrong with me as well because I couldn't eat nothing but apples. Just apples. If my wife tried to cook something, I would eat it, but then if I couldn't stomach it, I would throw it up in the middle of the night anyway. So I would encourage you to eat fruits and vegetables if you can, but drink a lot of water, drink a lot of Gatorade if you can, and just try to get you some rest. As far as the struggling with your breathing, if you have asthma, then you may have more issues with this, period, point blank. If you suffer from lung issues or heart issues, it's it's likely going to be a lot worse on you. If you suffer from severe anxiety like I do, and have to take medications for it, then you are probably going to go through some of the worst anxiety that you ever have in your entire life, because this thing is scary. It is legitimately scary, and I'm praying that I make a full recovery. I can tell, like when I breathe in, it still forces me to cough. I can still hear some wheezing, but I do have nebulizers, inhalers, and other cough medication to try to help combat that. Uh, I try to take at least 2 showers a day, steam showers, definitely to open up my airways a little bit. Sometimes I don't like to do it because it makes my mucus kind of run more. And even though it's good that I'm getting it out of my system, I just feel like it pushes it to a point to where it's in all the wrong places, especially when it's time for me to sleep and I can't really breathe in and breathe out. So that's just kind of something that you're gonna have to determine for yourself. Uh, there's Vicks rubs options. There's steam options with the orange pills, all different things. You're gonna have to find out what works for you, because what other remedies work for everybody else may not work for you. And I feel like I'm one of those people. I've tried so many things. I was getting to the point to where I was getting annoyed that people were like, try this and try that, and so many people were like really repeating the same thing. That kind of got annoying, but I appreciated the love and the support, and I definitely appreciate the love and the support now, because I know people are really trying to be prayerful and helping me out and showing me love and checking on me all the time. So I really appreciate the people that that are doing those things. Last but not least, if you are somebody, please stop treating this whole coronavirus thing like it's AIDS. Like, I get it. People can contract it, and people can get it and they can die. But please stop treating people like they have AIDS or something. Like, nobody asks to get sick. Nobody wants to get sick. Like, I went out one time, well, technically twice. Once to go get my son medication, and the next time, a week later, a couple days later, to go get my family some sunlight out at a park for like 2 hours away from people. So nobody asks to get sick. I hate being sick. Nobody wants to get sick. So when you look at people and treat them like, oh, you're an alien, or you got AIDS or something like that, and you start treating them differently, that can be very hurtful to people in the process. Like, don't treat people like that. If you want to do anything for somebody, be supportive. Be supportive, because people got family members that are dying from this stuff. People got friends and family that are severely ill from this stuff. And if you wouldn't do that to your own family members, then definitely don't do that to anybody out here in the world, because nobody deserves that. Nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants to be on bed rest. Nobody wants to be locked up in a fucking room for 14 days or longer. Nobody wants to do that. I know I don't want to do that. I love being in my workstation and being able to be creative and interacting with my family and things like that. I don't really go out anyways, but it doesn't mean that I want to be locked up in a room dealing with these type of symptoms every single day, or worried if I'm gonna die or not. Like, I don't like that. So just try to be compassionate. Just try to be understanding. If you have no experience with this, if you've never been through it, then just keep your mouth closed. If you're curious about it, ask questions. And when you ask questions, just don't be rude about it. Like, be supportive to people and let people know that, that you hope that they get through it, and be prayerful or whatever. If you ain't got nothing to say nice to somebody to say, then don't say anything at all. And as far as the people who are going through this, I hesitated on making this video, but I wanted to make this video because I wanted you to feel like you're not alone. I've already had a lot of people message me and try to support me through it. And the crazy thing about it is before I got sick, I was messaging other people who were sick from this stuff. And I was like, I'm praying for you. If there's anything that I can do for you, just let me know. I'll be willing to help out, or whatever the case may be. That was my whole approach. And then for me to turn around and be stuck in the room on quarantine, sick from all this shit, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I need that support and I love from other people. And excuse my language. I usually don't like to use language like that in my videos or whatever. But, this is a serious topic. It's legitimate. It's real. I just want to tell everybody out there, the doctors and the nurses that are risking their lives every single day, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for what you're doing. If you never had a chance to interact with the patients, then interact with me on a personal level. This is not fun. It doesn't feel good. I've met some bad nurses out there. I've met some bad doctors out there. Not all doctors and nurses are made the same. Some of them are terrible. I believe that the ones who sent me home are really, I would hate to say it, but they're terrible because they failed to take the precautions or the necessary steps to really see what was going on with me, and just said, oh, well, I don't think you have any COVID-19, so we're just going to send you home. Well, take the steps next time to see what's going on with me, because maybe you would have found something else. Maybe if you would have did the swabs and different things like that, we would have been able to know. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody that's watching this video. Try to be supportive. Try to show love to everybody. If it was 3 days ago, I wouldn't even made this video. If it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago, you wouldn't have even seen this video from me. So I am thankful that I am doing good enough to be able to make this video to help inform you people, and just tell some of you people out there, stay positive, stay in prayer. Pray to God that His will be done in your life. A lot of times we pray for things that we may not even need, or it may not be good for us. Just pray that His will be done in your life, so you'll be healthy and you'll be okay, and whatever is supposed to happen will happen. Period. Point blank. There's no gray area with that. As far as what I'm gonna do for the next. As far as what I'm going to do for the next 12 days, I'm just going to be creative, build my relationship with God, try to communicate with my family from the room as much as possible, and just try to support people through this. Again, I'm sorry for all the coughing, but yeah, take care of yourself. Don't do none of the coronavirus shaming. Treat people with love and respect. Be supportive through this time. Don't make fun of people. Don't question people, especially if you aren't sick. Don't sit there and give people a hard time about being sick with the virus or having any symptoms. One thing before I go, I did want to mention that if you have symptoms, period, point blank, don't blow it off. Combat it right then and there, and talk to a doctor if you need to. I have found that a lot of people who aren't technically positive for the virus end up having pneumonia or double pneumonia, or having strep or the flu or something like it. Period, point blank. If you have any symptoms, combat it. Talk to a doctor. See what somebody can do about it. If you go to a doctor like I did and you get blown off, go to another hospital. Go find somebody who's willing to do something. Look up any type of remedies that you can to go ahead and combat those symptoms. That way you can try to treat yourself in a process, and then just go from there. If everything else seems to fail, self-care, advocate for yourself. Take care of your body the best way you can. Find out any tips. Talk to people who have the symptoms, who have positive, who's gotten over it, who are still dealing with it. Get advice from as many people as possible, and just try to take care of yourself, because I get it. Sometimes we just run into some bad people, and things don't get taken care of. But other than that, thank you guys for watching this video. I'm sorry for all the coughing. I'm sorry for the poor movement. I'm sorry for the bad lighting, etc. Whatever. I'm on my cell phone with some natural light, none of my fancy cameras and lights and all that type of stuff. I didn't have the energy, and I didn't want to do that for this type of video anyways. So take care of yourself. I love you guys. And if you need to share this video with anybody else, then go ahead and do that. But take care of yourselves. All right. God bless you.